Hey guys, Bruce Kittle here. We have a great show this week and really excited for you to watch it, be a part of this. So this is week 8. Niners are down at the Rams looking for their, I think it's the 8th straight regular season victory in a row over the Rams. Of course, they lost the NFC Championship game down there last year, but beat them twice during the season. So this would be quite a string. So the Rams have had a bye week, and so it's going to be pretty interesting. But anyway, the show starts off with George and I having a chat. We talk about the Chiefs from last week a little bit. We get into the review in the NFC West, rest of the teams, and some of the things going on in the NFL. We look at the college review, Iowa and Nebraska, particularly in the Big Ten. So that's pretty cool. And then we look a little bit at the Rams and what to expect there. We kind of know what to expect. It's just about playing. So that's going to be pretty good. We review the bye week, which they have after the Rams game, and then come back with the Chargers. So look a little bit of that. Talk some Halloween. We talk week 8 shoes, and then we got a little discussion about the playoffs in baseball and some of those kind of things. And then we got into a little bit of conversation about mindset. We did have a little bit of an ethical dilemma about people who are your friends but want to come to games and wear opponent jerseys. So weigh in on that and listen to what George has to say about that. So then we talked about a little bit of mindset and some of those kind of things. And checking in. It was a really good conversation. We shared the story of Sarah Wall, who was our guest last week, but she was there, and George and I both talked about that a little bit, and just about the struggles in having cancer and the families and the impact on that. And again, just a reminder, we get a little bit into issues around mental health, talking about just that it's okay not to be okay, and some of the implications for that, and how great it is to have a conversation and respond to emotions. I've added a link to one of George's favorite cartoons that talks a little bit about sadness and how friends can respond to that. So take a look at that. So anyway, so that was it. And part 2 of the show is my conversation with Sergio Cuevas. And Sergio is the program coordinator for the LA West Huddle. They're in Los Angeles, so we're down in LA, so we wanted to have him there. So I've met Serge several times. And so he is a Marine veteran of 10 years, not quite. So he talks a little bit of his deployments and where he was at, what he did, why he enlisted, and all those kind of things. But we really had a great conversation, really about the transition and balancing family life and trying to make a career out of the military. And when those things don't work out for you, one and then the other, and some of those kind of transitions. Then we get into a great conversation really about mental health and what support means and how we can reach out and support people. And then just the power of the process that we use with emerging vets and players and how people can come together with that, and how that program really helped him at one of his most critical moments as he was a homeless father with 3 kids and trying to maintain both child support and visitation and all that kind of stuff. So it was really tough. So anyway, but a great story, and we ended up on some real positives, and he's bringing his oldest son to the game this weekend, who happens to be a Niner fan. So let's go Niners. And so bang, bang, Niner gang. So had a great, it's a great conversation. So anyway, hope you enjoy it. Thanks for sticking around, and talk to you later. Thank you. 3, 2, 1, action! Hello, Hidden Pros. Yes, Hidden Pro podcast fans. Bruce Kittle here with George Kittle. We are working our way through week 8, coming to the Rams down at SoFi. So be it. Niners are coming in, trying to get their 8th straight regular season victory over the Rams. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, we're glad to have George back on with us. So thank you very much, George, for taking time to speak to your old man and chat and all that kind of stuff. So you look good, distinguished, and honorable. So, all right. Well, let's just jump in. How was
jump in?
Okay. Look at that. Look at that air I got under that. Okay. How's practice been? Before we just how's all that? Well, let's do this. Niners update, Chief lesson. So last weekend, we don't spend a lot of time. Lost to the Chiefs 23-44. It's all been digested and kicked around and processed and all that kind of bullshit. Anyway, what were just thinking about kind of big takeaways. What were some learning moments or that kind of stuff? Anything you can share with our audience just on kind of where the team was? Because there were some people that had a few moments that were tough. I mean, it was kind of tough for everybody and didn't perform the way we wanted to, particularly in the second half. and it was a tough one to lose to. Of course, Mahomes is a complete alien and from some other solar system than ours. But anyway, that is what it is. So he sure made everything look pretty damn easy. So anyway, what were some of the takeaways you personally took and or the team maybe took?
Oh, let's see. I think the biggest thing offensively, with the score when we were in the red zone, and we went 1 for 5 in the first half. So can't do that. Thank goodness Robbie Gould can kick field goals. Shout out to him for that. But I mean, we knew we were going to have to score points, and we moved the ball really well. Our offense played at a pretty high level. We just, whenever we got down there, we made a couple mistakes. We couldn't get points on the board. We just didn't make the play in the red zone to score touchdowns, and so that's where you find it at. I mean, so I don't feel like our offense took a step back by any means this week. I thought Atlanta, we were moving the ball slowly to some people, but we were moving the ball. And then Chiefs, we were definitely moving the ball. We're getting yards. We're getting first downs. Guys are making plays on third down, moving the ball. Christian looks pretty good. He's, another week comfortable in our offense. So that's going to be fun this weekend. Then we have, and especially, you're going against the Chiefs. You're going against a very good offense that has been clicking. And so we knew we were going to have to put up points because we knew they were going to put up points. And, definitely we're missing a lot of defensive starters still. We had some guys go out in the middle of the game. So we were definitely not 100% on that end. But like I said, it falls on the offenses to be able to score more points. So we have been spending more time on the red zone stuff. Felt good about our red zone stuff today. Excited about it. Looking to bounce back and continue to get this offense better and clicking.
Okay. Well, and then I know you're not on defense. And so, so I won't ask you too much about that.
Don't ask me too much.
Jimmy went, let's see,
Dean?
25 out of 37, 8.2 yard average. So total number of yards, he had 300 yards there. And what'd you guys rush for?
I think 88.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the only thing. It felt like we kind of gave up on the rush game a little bit, but, so got to call the game as you see it. Hey, Dean, what's going on? And then you, George, kind of busted back in, so that had to feel good. Had 9 targets, says 6. I thought you had 8 receptions.
I had 6 catches.
6 catches, 9. All right, 6 out of 9 for 98 yards in the little tutty there. So that was sure fun to see you get back in the end zone. So liking all that. So that's pretty dang cool. All right. So, and then I don't know, is there any team stuff or anything? How's our defense doing? Just reloading and not much to do, is there? Shake it off after a day and just keep playing.
Just play. We have a really talented defense. We have a lot of really good players on that field. Jimmy Ward's back. He's got an extra week of practice in him. Jason Verrett is looking good. I mean, we got guys out there. Yeah, we've been banged up a little bit, but Niners look good. Niners look fast. Niners look angry. So I'm excited about that.
Okay. All right. And down to one of your favorite locations, Sci-Fi and good old-fashioned LA. So
SoFi. Not sci-fi. Sci-fi is
it looks like a sci-fi spaceship, though. It does. It's all twisty and all the levels and the escalators. And I mean, like if some alien with a bunch of heads walked out of some room, I wouldn't.
I don't see all that stuff. I'm on the field.
Right. You just bus in, get out, play your game, and bus out. So, which is good. I'm glad for you. So that's good. Anyway, so SoFi, it is what it is. So anyway, we're going to come to that. Let's do NFC West review. So Niners sitting at 3-4. The rest, Seattle's in first place right now, 4-3. Beat the Chargers 37-23. Who are also 4-3. Rams had a bye, so they've been resting up, thinking of an extra week, which I think is kind of good. I know you get the rest, but I like it because I think those guys, they're all sitting around knowing they've lost 7 straight in season to you guys. And I know the NFC Championship game takes a little sting, but still. And then for them to come up there the first time and you guys put that on them and all that kind of shit. So anyway, I think they're just eating at it. So good for them. Anyway, and then the Cards.
All right.
That's my take on a bye. What do you think on a bye? Because you guys have one next week. We're going to come back to that. Does it make it harder to prep, or is this the rest worth all of it?
I mean, I'm all in on the rest, especially at this point in the season. Yeah. But I will say there is something about you're playing football on a bye sometimes adds a little rust to it. And, you're not practicing for a week. When you're not doing something for a week, you definitely, you try your best to come back, full speed and stuff like that. But it is a little bit different. So yeah, I think we're feeling good. I think the guys are vibing. They are coming off a bye. They are thinking about that. It's going to be another fun one. The Rams Niners, what a rivalry! It's
a great rivalry.
It's always a good game, and it's always physical.
Yeah. Well, it'd just be interesting. I wish, it'd be fun to get in the head of McVay a little bit, just know how he approaches it and how their game plan looks and all that kind of stuff. But we'll find out soon enough. So there you go. All right. Then the Cards tied with the old Niners there, 3-4, beat New Orleans in a shootout, 42-34. So anyway, still all pretty early. It's a toss up right now. So all we got to do is win out and we're fine. So what the hell? Right?
Just win out. Why not?
Why not?
At the end of the day, really all we have to do is beat everyone in our division.
Yeah. If you win everybody else. So that's pretty good. You already beat Seattle, already beat the Rams. So now you're working into cycle 2. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Week 7, just a quick, some teams are a little bit in the doghouse. So Tampa now 3-5 with 3 straight losses. So kind of interesting there. So that's a whole longer conversation we don't need to have. But anyway, so
a lot going on down in Tampa.
There's a lot going on down in Tampa. A little, yeah.
Loves a lot.
Just leave it at that.
There's a lot going on.
Then Green Bay also sitting at 3-4. So like not a big deal, but still for them to be at that point.
My thing is Green Bay, throw Rob Tenyon the football, please.
It's crazy.
You don't have any wide receivers. Lazard's probably out. Give Big Bob the number 1 target. Throw the guy 15 passes. Let the guy eat a little bit. Come on now. And run the football. You have 2 great running backs.
Throw to
Run the football.
And win.
Also, you have one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. Run the football. Throw the ball to Rob. Easy. Peasy. Lemon squeezy.
Okay.
Good luck against the Bills.
I'm gonna text good old Aaron and I'll let him know. Okay.
No.
All right. Anyway, so Green Bay. And then just kind of on the side, Steelers at 2-5. They've been struggling. They lost to the Dolphins, who sit at 4-3. And so just a whole turnaround in that whole AFC division over there with the Jets and all that kind of stuff. So
looks a lot different than it did 10 years ago.
It's crazy. Yeah, just, if you've been paying attention. So undefeated and 1 or 2 lost teams. Philly, the only undefeated team, still 6-0. That's pretty cool. Congrats to those guys playing good ball. Really fun to see that. New York Giants sit at 6-1. Buffalo's at 5-1, and the Vikings are at 5-1. So that's pretty cool. And the 5-2 teams, Dallas playing pretty good, slugging it out with people, and the New York Jets at 5-2. If you just said, 2 years ago, Buffalo and New York are both going to be at that point, people would just go crazy, but there they are. And then Kansas City sitting at 5-2. So maybe, I don't know if that's kind of down or not, but still that's in pretty good shape. So I don't know, not any huge surprises last week. Some tough games. Everybody's playing everybody. And on any given Sunday, we know what?
Anybody can win.
Anybody can win. Show up, do your job. Don't turn the ball over and make plays. Okay. Then little quick college review. Did you see what happened to Iowa last week?
They were on a bye last week.
No.
Yeah.
They had a bye the week before.
You're talking about going into Ohio State?
They were at Ohio State.
Ooh. We had the lead.
Temporarily because of the defense did a pick 6 early.
They forced fumble, and then he picked it up and ran it in. So it's awesome for him. Then we lost 54-10.
54-10. That's tough. So
Hawks got Northwestern this week.
Yep.
Big homecoming. Northwestern Wildcats. Fun fact, I lost my homecoming my senior year against Northwestern Wildcats. Thank you. I think his name was Austin Carr, a slot receiver from Northwestern, played with Jimmy G actually on the Patriots for a little bit, but he had 3 touchdowns against us. Never forget it. Well, I do forget it, but just when you talk about Northwestern, it brings it back up. But, I got a couple of Northwestern guys in the building. Definitely excited to make them all wear gray sweatsuits from Iowa.
Who's our Northwestern guys?
Blake Hans. Guy in from the Cleveland Browns, offensive lineman, and Ben Peterson, our head of player personnel. He's the guy that makes sure our bodies are all working and chugging along.
Good old Ben. That's pretty funny. So, okay.
Nice guy.
Nice. And then, just with our buddy Will, we're just trying to follow along with his Nebraska Cornhuskers. So they are now 3-4. They're 3-4. They had a bye last week.
Hey, you only have to get six wins is bowl eligible. Let's go, Will.
So this week they host the Fighting Illini, who are on a tear. They're sitting at 6-1.
Ooh. Let's go, Illini. Brett Belima.
I mean,
I'm all in.
They are all in.
I'm all in.
So Michigan, Ohio State are both 7-0. Penn State's at 6-1 after their loss. They lost to one of those two guys. I don't know. And then there's Illinois. Everybody else is kind of.
They got the brakes beat off them by Michigan.
Yeah,
they did. Michigan's nice running. They have two running backs that are really good. Yep. Ohio State's got a phenomenal quarterback and really, really talented wide receivers. One specifically. But yeah, I'm all in. Let's all go to Champaign, Illinois. Cheer on the Fighting Illini as they just take a tear of the Big Ten West. I love it. They went into Wisconsin, Belima beats his old team that he used to head coach of. Takes Iowa on at home, beats them up. He has a Tiger Hawk tatted on his calf.
That is exactly right.
Those games mean a lot. So happy for him. Good luck to you guys this weekend. I hope you beat up on the Cornhuskers. But Will, we're still cheering for you. We're cheering for you. Cheering for you.
All right, Will. Hope you're well out there, fella. We thought we'd hear from you, dude, but you're just like going underground on us. So
he texts me. He texts me.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he doesn't want to bring it onto the internet. He's scared of the things you might say to him.
Oh, he never texts me. He's got my number. He does.
You're an intimidating person, dude. You are a lawyer, so you could sue him.
So yeah, okay. He's kind of ghosting me. All right. So let's talk Rams then. So you guys have been preparing this week, got the game plan in, we're all set to go. I know we can't say too much and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I mean, you got Mr. Cup and Mr. Aaron Donald. So, I mean, those are two of the biggest playmakers anywhere in the NFL. Both are still having great seasons and all that kind of stuff. Rams off to a little bit of a start. And did you see the latest spread?
No, I did not.
Niners by 1 on the road.
Wow.
Crazy.
You know, I'm not much of a gambler, specifically not on NFL games.
Specifically not.
Specifically not.
Just think it's interesting.
I will say like a 1-point spread kind of seems like it's anybody's ball game, if we're going to be honest with it. So it's going to be a great game. That's all I have to say about it because we're excited. And yeah, we're excited. Let's roll. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's have some fun. Get after it.
Have some fun.
Niners fans, be loud, be proud. Be excited.
Levi South. See if everybody shows up again. They've been traveling great all year. We've been amazed. East Coast, West Coast, wherever we go, the Niner fans have shown up. So keep that up. We're really excited about all that kind of stuff. So it'll be really good. And as always, same kind of keys to the game. Don't turn the ball over. Run the ball. Keep your defense off the field and keep their offense off the field. That takes care of a lot. Protect your quarterback. So we're going to have to do a little extra work on old Aaron Donald and score in the red zone.
Wow. Those are 6 things on our quest for 6. Good job, Dad.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
You tried that. Good for you.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Anything else on Rams you want to kind of float out there or, something?
No.
Okay. Then we talked a little bit about it after the Rams, and we're not looking too far ahead, but do have a bye week. So that'll give you a little extra rest. What's Shanahan's normal for that? You guys, after the game, then do you just kind of glide or what happens?
I always forget, but I'm pretty sure what we do is we do a normal Monday that we'd have anyways. And then Tuesday, we usually have a team lift in the morning just so guys aren't squirting out like Monday afternoon and they're gone for 6 days. But we usually do something on Tuesday just to keep your body moving. And then it's on the guys. We're usually free Wednesday through Saturday or Sunday.
Wow. So that'd be
I know a lot of guys are going home. A lot of guys are excited to see their families. Whether it's Texas, Alabama, Florida, guys are pumped. Yeah. I will not be making that long of a trek, though. That sounds like way too much. I'm going to avoid that.
I think that sounds like a lot, so we don't want to do
Thought about going back to Nashville, but 4.5-hour flight, I'm all right.
Don't need all the inflammation and high pressure.
You know what? I got to be in Nashville midway through February.
Yep.
Or probably March 1st, honestly. I'm going to go on vacation after that.
After February 13th.
Yes, sir.
That's our date. Okay, cool. Well, then best wishes to everybody. So that we'll get all rested up and then we'll come back with the charges and we'll worry about all that stuff later. Okay, then let's see. Week 8 shoes.
Well, currently I'm wearing Uggs.
Let's see.
They're They're Claire's Uggs. They just happen to be. Hiya!
So you won't wear those to the game.
Oh, Beanie. What shoes are you gonna wear, Q-Set? We say hi to everybody.
Hi, Beaner.
Hi, Bean. The Dean Bean.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh. She says, let's go Niners. She says, bang, bang. She says, bang, bang, Dad. Bang, bang.
Bang, bang, Niner gang. No doubt. Okay. We don't have a week 8 shoe selection.
No, but you guys will see. It's a brand new shoe. I just got it.
Okay.
In the mail like 2 days ago. I'm very excited about it. It's also coming up on Halloween.
Okay. So let's talk about that then. So any more insights, or we got to just wait in anticipation on the shoes?
Use burp. She just burped right in my face.
Good for her. All right. So anything else on the shoes?
Wait on the shoes, dude. You're pushing too much, man.
Okay. Fans want to know. Well,
they can see them on my fit because I'm going to look good.
Okay. All right. Well, then right, Halloween.
Ooh.
So, are you giving away your costume yet or not? Or is that going to be a surprise as well? Nothing. You're spidering me.
Wow. I wonder why.
Excellent. Well, we can't wait to see. So will you please take a picture and then send that to us?
Well, yeah, we have a Halloween party for the Niners on Monday night.
Oh, that'll be super fun. All right.
It will be a great time.
Cool. All right. The spider will be out. Okay. All right. Then any other national events or sporting events that you want to talk about? What do you think about the playoffs in baseball? You following that at all? You know what's going on?
I mean, I just keep getting a notification. The Houston Astros are up 5-0 on the Phillies. So McGlinchey's probably pretty sad, but I'll give him a call here, rub it in his face a little bit. Make sure he's doing all right, and then remind him that Phillies are losing a baseball.
Okay.
I do have a Bryce Harper jersey. The second Bryce Harper went to the Phillies, I brought a jersey because I do like Bryce Harper. He's great for the game. Love it when he's doing well. Big fan of him. He's a monster. Love seeing him out there. So, but my Phillies jersey is unfortunately in Nashville. I don't think I could wear a Phillies jersey just because all my Cubbies and Giants fans would not appreciate it. I do have here's a little bit of drama. What are your thoughts on this? So,
okay.
Phillies are in the World Series against the Houston Astros, right? Earlier this week, Jalen Hurts, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, did his media day because I think he's from Houston, in a Houston Astros hat, jersey, and shirt, and he's a quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh.
And now I am not from Philadelphia. I've been a couple times. I understand how passionate their fans are about Philly sports. Okay. What do you think their thoughts are?
I know what their thoughts are.
See, now he is 6-0. He's playing at a very high level. He's balling out. Football team is balling. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if I was in his shoes, I don't know if I would have worn all that Houston gear. Don't know.
Dude.
Teach their own.
You got 3 options. Promote. You can wear Philly stuff, support them. But if that's not really your deal, or you go neutral, you know what I mean? So if you don't want to say anything about it, you let it go, but you're not rubbing anybody's face. Show up all Houston when you live in Philly and Philly's your town. I mean, I don't know. I think that's kind of you know what I mean? So like, I think that's tough. So, so I don't know. So, but others can let us know. You guys got our email. You can shoot a note. We'll have a debate on that. So, but anyway, wearing that, I think that's really tough.
It is. I see. I mean, because like I'm a Cubs fan. I am a Cubs fan. I love the Cubbies. Grew up a Cubs fan. I mean, I'm also a Bears fan. You guys all know that. But I am a Niner, and I love the Giants. Love the San Jose Sharks. But like I have my teams, but I support my Bay Area teams because we are in this together, and it's fun. It's fun to be around all these professional sports teams.
It's a community.
I mean, it is a community. Thank you to Golden State for always being the best of the best.
Yeah,
thanks, Steph.
Really cool.
You're wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and I just, I don't know. That one's really tough for me. So,
yeah, it is what it is. But I'm glad we brought it up. I mean, I knew exactly what you were going to say. So it's all good.
Can't do that. I mean, that's like you getting tickets for somebody. Let's say they're a Kansas City Chief fan and they visit you the same week.
Are you talking about Grace?
Yeah, but she didn't. She went all Niner. She was all
She
in.
did.
She did a
She
great
did
job.
go.
I'm just saying that we've had a couple times where, we're visiting and then the people show up in the other team's jersey and I've always loved them. And I'm like,
That's
you
not
ain't
my problem.
you ain't coming in with
So,
us.
yeah. So we'll let the fans know. This year, me and Kyle Juszczyk split a suite. So our families could watch the games from up there. We could see them after games. Just safer. And I've had multiple friends be like, have asked me to come to the game. And of course, if I can house them, if I can put them up, I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to make the trip as easy as I can for them, because going to an NFL game for some of my friends is a huge deal. Like it is for a lot of fans. It is like you get one game in 5 years, and that's a memory that's going to last a lifetime. And but I have a couple buddies, like one of my buddies from high school is coming to the Chargers game, and he's a diehard Chargers fan, been his whole life since he was a kid. Don't know why. He's from Oklahoma, but he's been LaDainian Tomlinson is his favorite player. So I understand that LT is a dog. Dog. But he was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this jersey, and I was like, you can sit in the stands.
Yeah.
And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not gonna help you with tickets. I'm not gonna give you tickets to sit in the family section. I'm not gonna give you tickets to sit in my suite. If you think that it's okay for you to wear a Chargers jersey. He goes, dude, I've been a fan my whole life. And I was like, why are you going to the game? He's like, well, you. And I was like, that's the only answer you need, bud. Hey, all good vibes, man, but you can't bring that into my suite. My wife will kill you.
Well, you can put mine out. He won't get in.
Oh, you won't get in. I've reminded my friends, like, hey, like no, please come. Yeah, no, but you're gonna wear Niners gear, or you're not getting in. It just is what it is. You can argue with me all you want, but I can just
that's
I got security up there.
Yeah,
it is. So we're gonna move past that.
Okay. All right. Then I did want to bring in though, because I'm switching in. So we got the baseball playoffs and all that kind of stuff. And the other night, you and I were talking just a little bit, and you were talking a little bit about, we were talking about journaling just a little bit. You know what I mean? And like, I'm more of a morning person because when I get to bed at night, I'm out. I do a little meditation before I go to bed. But you were talking about nighttime journaling, and I think
what was I talking about?
You were talking about a pitcher that you read a story about or heard a podcast on, and he was talking about doing nighttime affirmations, kind of journaling, but nighttime stuff. And so have you thought more about that? And what'd you think about that? Can you
That's a very personal thing I keep to myself, but thank you for asking me about it.
All right, we'll let it go then. Okay. I thought that was, but
nope.
we will just say, no, I won't say any more about that.
Journaling's great.
Journaling's
positive
great.
Affirmations, talk about yourself, hype yourself up, gives you good vibes when you go to bed at night.
Okay. Excellent. Well, that went really well. Okay, good. All right.
Great job, Dad.
Okay. I like it. Okay. Well, anyway, then they can email me later for more details. All right. We won't say anything.
Ask Bruce about journaling.
Yeah. Ask me about journaling. Okay. Let's see. What did you have a mindfulness moment though? Speaking of that.
A mindfulness moment?
A moment when you kind of caught yourself getting pulled, triggered or something like that. And you kind of
Chiefs Niners. Third quarter, third down. I didn't get it done on a third down route. Couldn't get my hands out. Couldn't make the catch. Upsets me. I want to be the guy who can always accomplish it, no matter what is asked of me. So that pissed me off. But what am I going to do? I got 25 minutes left of football. Right. Am I just going to sit there and let myself get angry? No. Went right to the sideline, took a deep breath, re-engaged, and I went out and scored a touchdown. And it was a great ball, great catch. Attack the ball, be violent, be aggressive. So, yeah.
That was a really good contested catch.
Thank you. Not everything goes the way you think it's going to go. Sometimes you're going to fail, and that's okay. Well, it's not okay because I don't want to fail. But it's just about how you respond and if you can make up for it. So, take a deep breath. Go at it because you can do it. You've done it 1,000 times. You've done it 100,000 times. Go out there and get it done because you can. So, there's my mindful moment.
Perfect. Okay. So, and then let's see, I'm just going to plug in mental health program. The Colts came out with Kicking the Stigma. I don't know if you've seen anything about that. anyway, they got regular check-ins and all. So again, NFL's doing a little bit more, and our followers, if you listen to the show with our MVP folks, we're always talking about it's okay not to be okay. So anyway,
it's definitely okay to not be okay. It's okay to be sad. You know what? Honestly, all right, this is a good one for you. There's an account on Twitter and an Instagram, and I think it's called Dinosaur. I can get you the link and stuff. I wear the hoodie sometimes. It's literally it's a little cartoon dinosaur. It is like a comic strip. And yeah, you've seen it. But there was one that came up, and it was a conversation between two dinosaurs, and one goes, gosh, I don't want to butcher this, but the one goes, "I'm sad," and the other one goes, "That's okay." And he goes, "Or what are you gonna tell me to not be sad anymore?" And he goes, "I love you whether you're sad or whether you're happy, and I'm just here for you regardless of the situation." And it was a little bit cleaner than that. But it just put a smile on my face because it reminds you that people are going through shit all the time. And not everybody's going to always be in a good mood. And while you guys see me happy and smiling and joyful all the time, I try my best. That's not me all the time. And there's times that I am sad. There's times that I am mad. There's times that I'm frustrated. And it's okay. But when you have some people around you that are build you back up and are okay and help you in those moments, just remember it's okay to be sad. It's okay to not be okay. So just surround yourself with really good people so they can all help you in those situations.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Thank you. I'll find that one. I'll screenshot. I'll send it to you so you can put it up.
Yeah, we'll add it. That would be terrific. So, but anyway, excellent point. And just a reminder on top of that, just remember, emotions come and go, man. They're just like, I don't know, drops of rain.
Waves in an ocean, dog.
Right. Leaves falling. You're the tree. Your emotions and thoughts are like leaves, and they just fall off and they're gone. So whatever you want to think about it, it's okay. You have those, but it'll pass and we'll move on. So it's all good. But the whole point too is don't be afraid to ask for help either. It's okay. And that's actually the MVP challenge on wellness this week, is to talk to one person about something you're not really happy about, just to kind of get more practice.
I did that yesterday.
Oh, good. Who'd you talk to?
Rob Tunyon, tight end for the Green Bay Packers.
Who the Packers are going to throw the ball to 15 times.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. That's great.
You know, it's fun. I spend my entire offseason with Rob, and I have for the last, 4 years? Yeah. Ever since that, was it the 2019 offseason?
Yep.
Was my first year with him. He lived with me and my girlfriend now. Well, no, I think she was my fiance. Was Claire my fiance when Rob first moved in?
I think when he first moved in.
Yeah, we were engaged. But he was a fantastic roommate. We become very close. He's one of my best friends. And, it's tough during the football season to communicate with all of your friends that you hang out with. Like, I would love to talk to Rob more. I'd love to talk to TJ Hawkinson more. Trent Taylor more. Some of my buds that are on different teams, CJ Beathard, Nick Mullins. But it's just hard. We're all busy. We're all on different schedules. We're all in different time zones. But yeah, I got a nice 30-minute talk with him yesterday, and it was very fun. And we both got to share things are going on in our lives, whether on the field, off the field, that were going great, weren't going so great. And it's just fun to be able to have that conversation, that trust with somebody that you can have those conversations, and they understand you enough where they can have an actual response as opposed to just saying, "Oh yeah, that's nice," or "Oh, that's too bad." So that's fun. Get yourself some good friends, guys. As Bruce told me when I was like 3 years old, friends are like elevators. They're either taking you up or they're taking you down. And that made no sense to me when I was a kid, because I said, people are not elevators. They do not go up and down. It took me a while, but then it made sense to me after a couple of years. I was like, oh, you just be nice people. Just surround yourself with nice people that, have similar goals as you.
Yeah, avoid energy vampires. So
avoid dickheads.
George, that's a really cool thing. So, and again, just a reminder, let them pass through and it's all good. And having somebody out there, and if you don't quite have somebody, there are different groups and all that kind of stuff. So just encourage you to ask for help and support and get connected. So, well, that was amazing. So we're just going to ride full of that. So closing it out, Georgie, the Hidden Pearls update. So I just want to talk week 8. We've got for the show this week is MVP. He's the LA Huddle chapter program coordinator for the LA West program. His name is Sergio Cuevas. So
is Sergio going to the game?
He is.
Is he wearing Niners gears?
You know what? I asked about that. So here's what's happening for him. he said he's been a lifelong Dallas fan. So, but he's kind of struggling
Oh,
with
I
that.
love it.
So he won't be wearing any Rams. He's not a Rams guy at all. But here's the neat thing. His son is a huge 49er fan. So like 2 years ago, his son is just turning 14. You'll like this story. And so he told his son a year ago on his last birthday, he came up and he said, Dad, I don't like the Cowboys. I'm going to be a Niners fan. Of course, it broke his dad's heart, but that's what sons do sometimes. They can't help it. They're being themselves, learning how to grow on their own. So anyway, so he says, hey, if you become a true Niners fan and if you cheer for them all year, next year, I'm going to get you a 49er jersey.
Love it.
So the year is up, and on his birthday, they're coming to the Rams-Niners game. And guess what jersey Sergio got him? Exactly.
Ooh.
Bam!
You know you're right.
He got him a George Kittle, number 85. So he said that they're super excited. He said,
What did Sergio say? What did son say to him when we beat him in the playoffs last year?
I will. Okay, we'll have to follow up on that.
That'd have been really funny.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's Serge's story. So that should be really fun. And then we've got Amy Ward coming, and then 2 other folks. We got 6 people coming from LA Huddle, so we're excited about that. So that
love it.
Okay, then I'm just going to jump in. We had a huge Hidden Pearls win. So we talk about Hidden Pearls that everybody's got a good chunk inside them. And George, I know you're my kid and all that kind of stuff, but I'm just going to say, so we had Sarah Wall in and her family. So her mom and her dad, and then 2 siblings, so 6 of them. And that's 5, right? Oh, and 2 her
6.
sisters. Yeah, so there were 4 kids. Yeah. Anyway, so Sarah, long story, but anyway, she's been fighting through cancer. She's had 4 different diagnoses over 10 years. And in the last 18 months, had 2 diagnoses, including thyroid cancer and then a kind of blood bone thing. Anyway, she's been on the terminal list 3 times and now off
stage 4 terminal 3 times.
3 times. And she's 18 years old. So she is one tough cat. And she's this kind of tiny, demure little woman. But anyway, really great. It was so fun to have him in. And George.
She is a stallion.
She's
a stallion.
So we got tickets, had him at the team hotel, got him sideline passes. And this was the real perk. On George's touchdown against the Kansas City Chiefs, he went up and got the touchdown ball from the ref. And then we marked it up, got it autographed, and I got a picture from her dad, sent it to me, and actually posted it so people could see it if they wanted to. But anyway, George sent that ball to Sarah as just another token of our support for her in her fight to remain healthy and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, it was pretty cool. We had a really good time with the family, and I know they really enjoyed it. Got to see San Francisco, got to be up close and personal with the Niners and all that kind of stuff. They had a great time. So anyway, and no, it doesn't seem like very much, but it's just like the guy throwing starfish back into the ocean, George. There's thousands of them, and people say you can't save them all, but you know what? It means the world to the ones you throw back.
That it does.
So anyway, just a reminder out there, there are people in your network and in your community, and like George said, you never know what everybody's feeling or what they're going through, and everybody is going through something. They really are. They got some stuff. So anyway, just encourage you to look with open eyes and see what you can do and reach out and support people. So that was really, really fun. So we're very excited about that. And last point, and then I'll let Georgie close it out. Just a reminder, we are upcoming in the elections. So wherever you are on whatever platform and whatever it's all whatever, but take advantage of your constitutional right to vote in this government election that's coming up. And we just voted today. We voted early, so we are already done. But if you have not, I encourage you to do so, or get an absentee and or go to the polls, but make sure you take care of advantage of that. So make sure you go and vote. All right, Georgie, any last words for the folks? It's getting so dark there, we can barely see you.
I know. It's crazy what happens at night.
Yep.
Let's see what I got for you, Dad.
Yep.
Well, we usually end on what gives you hope, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I'm just going to piggyback off you. Sarah is someone I met, I think it was 2013 at the University of Iowa. I was with CJ Beathard, redshirt freshman year, and we were doing a children's hospital visit. And we just happened to come across Sarah and her sister. And talking to them then, and then I didn't see Sarah again until, was it COVID? Was it before that?
No, it was COVID year. I think it was 20.
Yeah, I was 2020. And then so we got an update then, and she reminded me of all the stories. Us meeting the first time, which was really fun. And then we met again via another Zoom call. Was it this past off season? Like 6-8 months ago.
Yep.
And then being able to finally see her in person, and again, because I mean it's been 9 years since the last time I saw her in person, and I do, like, the second I saw her in person, I just remembered her smile, and it was really cool for me because I meet a lot of people. I've met a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people, and while I try my best to remember everybody, you know, it's hard for me sometimes. But like, while I might not have like perfectly remembered the first time I met Sarah, the second I saw her, I just felt this energy from her, and like reminded me of all their stories of the things that she's overcome. Like my favorite thing, she said every time that she would get chemotherapy, she would just get a large pizza and just eat it while she was getting chemotherapy. And she was like, yeah, it didn't feel great, but you know, it is what it is, and I'm going to beat it. And I just like, that always makes me remember, you know, how blessed I am, how blessed my family is. And that I am not going through the things that she is going through. And she has overcome so much as just an 18-year-old. A lot of her childhood taken away from her, not being able just to go out into the park and go play sports, traveling sports teams, go to conventions, science stuff, anything. And so, you know, she's spent a lot of her time in the hospital, and that's no life for a kid, but there's millions of kids that deal with that every single day, and millions of parents, millions of families that are affected by that. And just meeting her in person again and feeling her energy just made me very thankful to our hospitals and all the great work that they do to, you know, save these kids, but also, I mean, goodness gracious, just be grateful. You know, being awake, being alive, being able to call your mom, being able to call your sister, your dad. You know, if you don't have that, I'm sorry, but you know, call those that are around you that you love, and remind them that you love them so much. I don't think you can ever really say I love you so enough. So that's my speech. Thank you, Sarah. You're an absolute dog. Loved having you out there. Hope you like the ball. Huge fan. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Let's go.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I'll just, because when we originally set it up, it was a Make-A-Wish because she was terminal. And then by the time she got here, she'd done all her treatment and everything. And there it was. So,
yeah.
And there's a great country western song. I can't remember who sings it, that Until You Can't. What's that? Who sings that, George? Do you remember? Anyway.
It's probably a song that I don't remember because I wasn't born for it.
No, it just came out this year. It's
no
modern country. So, all right, man.
Oh, well, listen, when to fold them. Oh, when to walk away.
All right, folks. Bruce Kittle and George Kittle. We are signing out of Week 8. If you're interested in Sarah's story, she was our guest last week for the Chiefs game in Week 7. So the podcast last week. So you can catch up on that if you want to. And again, reminder: Sergio Cuevas is our guest from LA. So we're pretty excited about that. So, all right. Anyway, have a great week, George. We love you very much. And go Niners.
Have a great week. It's Friday. I play in 48 hours.
In 48 hours. All right, great. So thank you for joining us. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, action. Okay. So we are live. So Sergio, thank you so much for being with us. And I've kind of gotten to know you over the last year as we got more involved with MVP, because you're on the national staff. I think they call it that. But anyway, you're in some of those meetings, and plus you're the LA program coordinator. So, and you're on today to kind of, we're going to get to MVP, but we're talking a little bit more about your experience. So I've got you as about a 10-year, 9+ year veteran with the U.S. Marines, if I've got that right from reading your bio.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So pretty good. And so I'll just throw some stuff out there. We'll talk a little bit about your background and that kind of piece. So, but I want to thank you for being on, because I know you got a lot going on as things go. So let's see, San Fernando Valley, just north of LA, kind of that's your home base. Raised by mom and sisters and cousins. It sounds like a lot of women in your upbringing that were taking care of you. So
I had a lot of uncles. My father unfortunately passed when right before I was born. And so, you know, the family kind of rallied behind my mom to help support. And a lot of women in my household directly, lot of uncles in support around that because
Okay.
had to have some male influence in my life.
Well, in your bio, you talk about having a large family, so I get that, and a classic Latino lifestyle. And so I'm just kind of tell me when you say classic Latino lifestyle or traditional in that way, is that kind of, I'm guessing, kind of a Catholic household to some extent,
Yes.
large families, a lot of kids, and then very
Yes.
close knit. But I mean, are there other things that's kind of considered within that kind of classic Latino lifestyle?
Well, so when you think of classic Latino, obviously things there may be different variations depending on the geographical location. Southern California has a very rich culture in the Latino and Hispanic background, and so you get a lot of like the lowrider style, you get a lot of the Chicano style, and that's kind of where my upbringing came from. Like I grew up around lowriders and family meals, the whole culture that I grew up in
Gotcha.
here.
Okay, and and I've looked this up about 100 times, so because I feel like I'm still learning so much. But how would you distinguish Latino and Hispanic?
There's a lot of debate when it comes to Latino, Hispanic. Latinos, I actually had a conversation about this yesterday with one of our trainers. The Latino background, you really gotta, come from more of Latin America. You go
Okay.
like Brazil, down that way. And then you have Hispanics, they're more like like Mexico, Spanish came in and, they kind of took over that realm. And that's
Right.
where you kind of get a lot of Hispanics from. So
Okay.
it's kind
It's
of
kind of
there's different variations of it. Everybody's
right.
got a different view of it. So I always just revert to the Latino, the Chicano, the Hispanic. I for one just kind of consider we're all kind of the same at the end of the day.
Right. Okay.
We'll get
So
mad at that, I promise you.
okay. So kind of if you're south of the equator, we can go with Latino, and if you're north of it, a little bit more Hispanic. But it's all good. Okay. Well, anyway, just kind of all right. And you have 3 boys, 8, 10, and 12. Is that still about? Are they that right?
Yeah, they've grown now. So 10, 12, and 14.
Okay.
I have one in elementary, one in junior high, just in this last year, junior high. One just started freshman year in high school. Started playing football this year, so he's in his freshman year of football, which is awesome. A little scary, obviously. Football gets a little tough. I love football, but I was like, let's go baseball. But no, he played football, and he's definitely learning and growing with it, and definitely doing some great things. Got a few chances to see him a few times. So,
well, that's very cool. And then just I mean, do they live with you then, or you guys? How's that working? What are you doing with that?
So that kind of goes into like a lot of my transitional stuff, and I'll diverge deep later in this.
Okay.
So as I got out of the Marine Corps, I also went through a divorce a year later. So I've actually been fighting for 50-50 custody over the last 4.5 years, going on 5 years. I get them alternating weekends, holidays, so forth. But the co-parenting is very difficult. And when it comes to a lot of people say, oh yeah, co-parent. Well, both parents have to co-parent, and if they're both not on the same page, it makes it very hard. So I went a few months recently not being able to see them, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to get back into my visits again, fortunately just before the holidays. So it's always great to see my kids. They just grow so quick. So it's kind of like a hard part.
It's
always battling. Always battling.
Yeah, over in a flash. And you're on that tipping point where they scoot into high school, and then the older they get, the busier they get. And then and then as soon as they get the driving permit or driver's license, then it's like, they don't need you anymore to take them everywhere. So it's a whole different animal. So, well, that's good. Okay. Well, we'll circle back to that. So that's really cool. But anyway, so being an active father and dealing with all those things with it. And we will come back to that because the transition piece on the family is really difficult for veterans coming back. So that's one. All right, then just as a way we're kind of getting to know you a little bit, how about one person in your life, either, could be super famous or just somebody in your family, whatever, but somebody that's inspired you in your life and why?
You know what? I was reviewing that one and I was like, wow. It's really hard for me to say And I answer that way for this reason. I've gone through so many different phases in my life, so many different struggles and time periods where I really looked at everybody, even those closest around me. Not having a father figure in the home was really difficult. So I reverted to my relatives, my cousins, my uncles, and I just kind of did what I don't know if it was like a you know mechanism to do, but I started looking at the way everybody behaved, their demeanor, their behaviors, and I took little pieces from everybody. And whether it be an actor on the movie screen, Denzel Washington, love that guy. Guy's awesome. Football players on the football field, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Deion Sanders, watching them guys. Baseball players, Mike Piazza. I kind of watched how they behaved, their mannerisms, and um, how they treated people. And I looked towards that as like things I wanted to kind of emulate. When it came to the family life, I watched other families and how they treated each other and so forth. And I took pieces of that. And so one specific person, I can't say I have one. I would definitely say I have many because I always look at what I'm going through and I try to piece in like something from a trait from somebody that I've seen and experienced or, had interactions with and be like, I really like the way that person carries himself in that situation. I would definitely like that. And I try to emulate it.
Yeah. Well, okay. Not trying to pin you down. I just like it could be one of 10.
Yeah.
So like, well, what are some, like what values and characteristics then would be on that slate that would catch your attention?
Definitely family. Family is a very deep value, honesty, you know, um, being honest and trustworthy and truthful with everybody. I've definitely used that a lot in my life, even if it got me in trouble, if there was something going on and like, hey, did you do that? And you know what? Yeah, I did. And I'm willing to own up to that, not because, I'm trying to for some kind of notoriety, but just because, I've always been one of those individuals where if you do something wrong, you got to admit your mistakes so you can recover from it. And, yeah, just loving everybody, you know what I mean? Giving everybody, chance to, at least experience it because you can't walk around hating people the rest of your life, right? And throughout life is just not gonna get anywhere.
Well, that's a heavy backpack to carry. You know what I mean? And so in the end, it feels like it always weighs us down more than it does the folks that we dislike. But well, let me, segue because we're going to talk about mindset a little bit later. But you open the door here. One of the things about the 4 stages of the self. The first one is know yourself, because you can't. If you don't know how you want to show up in life and the values that are going to guide you, when you get in those really difficult situations and you don't have kind of a benchmark to hold yourself to, it's really easy to get kind of pushed around or respond in a way that maybe you don't want to. And that's kind of the point of the mindfulness is like, this is a tough situation. Like you said, in a situation, maybe you weren't your best self on a certain day and some things happen that is not. And so owning up to them and accepting it, that's part of what it means to be a responsible adult. And if you know that that's a value and that matters to you, then owning up is something that you can step into and, take the whatever consequences come with it. So anyway, really appreciate that. And so just seeing those kind of pieces and the people when they emulate those kind of things and they work on that. So, well, all right. Well, very good. Well, we'll come back to that. So I'm kind of like, I grew up with, I was a huge Civil War and, kind of World War II guy just growing up. And so loved kind of the Abraham Lincoln stuff and, all the stuff around those pieces. And just also kind of social justice people that have been inspiring about willing to make change in our society around issues that, where people have been left behind and that kind of stuff. So, but that's great. So, well, at least your boys have, because the family piece I think is huge, so that's a great thing for you to share with your kids. So, okay, well, let's jump then. So after high school, you worked a little bit. So we're working our way into your journey into the military. So, I think eventually in 2007 you enlist. So tell us, you eventually enlist, and so tell us about that journey, and then why'd you pick the Marines?
Yeah. So my family's always referred to me as being a old soul. As a kid growing up, I was very much intrigued by the military life, military movies, military history. I just, even as a child, like really young child, I would, always, the GI Joe guy and all that stuff. And
How many GI Joes did you have?
oh my gosh, I want to say probably all of them.
Well,
I really wish I still had them. Unfortunately, life happens and things disappear.
Did you have the big ones or the small ones?
Had the small ones, had the planes, had the cars, had all the full set.
See, I'm so old. Like I had they were like 12 inches when I grew up, so they were like big. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I probably had 10 of them. I mean, we had full battles. I had a giant sandbox out back, and we had full thing with a full size Jeep and all that stuff. I mean, we had huge battles. Yeah, and I had a huge box of them. I was going to keep them. Then my mom was cleaning the house, after we'd gotten married and left and didn't have kids yet, and she gave them to one of the neighborhood kids. But which, you know what? In the end, it's okay because they played with them and had a good time. But okay, so
Yeah.
GI Joe guy, I love it. All right.
Yeah, so super big military guy. Grew up. I ended up getting, working from, the age of 17. Wanted to join the military, didn't finish school, the correct way. And 9/11 happened. I was actually working as doing construction painting, industrial painting, commercial industrial painting. 9/11 happened and the company went under because all of our jobs that we had about to have lined up were all prevailing wage. So a lot of people don't realize during that time, they shut down all the contracts and everything stopped. The main focus was, protecting the country, and company went under. So I ended up working at a real estate office, did that for 3 years with my mom, and then went to UPS for about 6 months, then got another job doing deliveries for movie studios, props and scripts, stationery store that just kind of did everything. Did that for a few years. And, just when, for a lot of people, when you're joining the military, when it's something you want to do, it's just going to always come back to you. And 2007, it was just, I was making good money at a young age, but I wasn't where I wanted to be at 23 years old, kind of still living at mom's house, like not really getting anywhere, just kind of being a young guy and enjoying life, but not taking things serious. Yeah. And so one day I was just like, you know what? Just always wanted to join the Marine Corps.
Yep.
Went, signed up, and hid it from my mom and my sisters for about a good 3 months. And then I told them like 2 weeks before I was supposed to ship out that I was going to boot camp. And they weren't too happy with it, but protective family members, they want to, only boy, they want to protect me. They were like, well, okay, what'd you do? What'd you sign up for? And I was all like, well, told the recruiter, can't be a Marine if you're not infantry. And they were, kind of rattled that cage a little bit too, but that was what I wanted. That's where I wanted to be. I literally walked in the recruiting office, told them I wanted to go to Afghanistan and I want to travel the world. He promised me Iraq. And I said, okay, let's go. Signed the papers, and 3 months later, I was in boot camp. So it's pretty unique time for me.
Okay, so there you go. And then, had it always been the Marines in your mind? I mean, was that always just what you always thought of, or like?
Yeah, actually, it was. When I was in the process of joining, I had actually been communicating with one of my cousins, close cousin of mine. I lived with him for a few years in Tennessee, and he was joining the Air. He wanted to join the Coast Guard, and so he was trying to get me to join with him. And then he was like, yeah, we can go do all this. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. And then he called me a few weeks later and was like, I'm gonna join the Air Force. Let's join the Air Force. And I was like, nah, I'm not an Air Force guy. And he was like, well, what are you going to do? I was all like, I joined the Marine Corps. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah. So, he joined the Air Force. I joined the Marine Corps. And there was nothing that was going to shake me from it. I always wanted to be a Marine. So
there you go. Okay. All right. So then, and I'll just read these, and, we kind of talk. So whatever you want to go into this. So we've got, I think I call them duty assignments, if I have that, and or deployment. So we got 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines at 29 Palms, 2007 to 2011. I got 12th Marine Corps Recruiting Command on Sacramento for 3 years, 2011, 2014. and then 1st Tank Battalion back in 29 Palms, 2014 to 2016. So probably military folks know what 29 Palms is. I don't, but so just tell us that journey, because somewhere by the end of 2016, you're out of the military. So just give us a little snippet of, kind of your career and where that took you and some of the things that maybe you did.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. So joined in 2007. It was June 26th. I arrived at MCRD, Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego. Was there, graduated just before my 24th birthday. I was 23 when I joined, just turning 24. Pretty old. Most of my drill instructors were younger than me, which is pretty unique. Got to School of Infantry over in Camp Pendleton, right before off the 5 there, and I was there till December. Ended up in 29 Palms. 29 Palms is a really unique base. It's one of the largest Marine Corps bases, and they do a lot of the live fire training before units deploy overseas to battle and to their deployments go. And the base is so large, they can drop anything just short of a nuclear bomb there without having any problems. So it's a pretty large base, and a lot of military history through there. Used to be an Army base. It's right off the 10 going towards Palm Springs. You see those windmills. There's a highway that goes over the overpass and into the mountains that look like the hills have eyes. Drive that way and keep going for another hour, and you'll hit 29 Palms. It's a city in the middle of nowhere. But it's actually a really awesome base. It's really unique. A lot of people don't like it, but once you're there, it's something that stays a part of you for a long time. Ended up there in December. By April, I was deployed to Afghanistan. So we were slated to go to Iraq. The unit had just got back from Iraq. Took heavy losses in Iraq. And we got the call. President Bush wanted to start ramping up operations in Afghanistan, start trying to bring it to an end. And we were one of the units that got called up for it. Had about 3.5 weeks to train and get prepped for it. It was a new mission that we were going to be doing, totally different from the invasion when they first went in 2001 and 2, and got set up. Was touched down in Afghanistan in April, and it was a real unique experience. We had a lot of stuff going on there. We took a lot of hits. Our unit was really spread out throughout the country, from one district to another, from Helmand all the way to Farah, close to the border of Iran and Pakistan. We started out going with a mission to train the Afghan National Army and Afghan National Police. Within the first, I want to say maybe 3-4 weeks, we had already started taking casualties from IEDs and attacks. Quickly switched from training to counterinsurgency operations, coin operations. And, I was attached to a weapons unit. I was an anti-tank missileman. So my job was the job is to blow up tanks. However, in Afghanistan, the mud huts are so thick, the walls are so thick that bullets couldn't penetrate them. So we started using missiles to destroy houses that we were getting shot at from, and sometimes caves, or sometimes, behind rocks that, they built up as bunkers when they would do their attacks on us. And it was definitely I like to say a fun time. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. I fucking enjoyed it. When I got to 29 Palms, they asked me if I wanted to be a Marine. I was like, I wanted to go to fucking war. Like, that's what I wanted to do. And, I had the opportunity within my first year. I actually got promoted to corporal. So September 1st, 2008, I was already promoted to the rank of an NCO. If you rewind tape, I hadn't even graduated boot camp at that time. So it was pretty exciting and just a fulfilling moment for me, because something I wanted to do as a child, I was actually accomplishing what I was setting out to do. Took a lot of casualties in Afghanistan. I was in an area called Dalaram. It was a pretty calm area, but it was off one of the highways. They were building a new highway that was going down off of Highway 1 that ran from Kandahar to the east to the west. And we were kind of just doing patrols throughout that area, making sure, kind of like just out there. It was almost like we were policing the area, looking for signs of enemies and, trying to engage with them as much as we could. And, we took a hit. We lost my vehicle commander towards the end of the deployment. That was a pretty tough loss. But overall, Afghanistan was a very tough time, but it was a very, I felt a bit of accomplishment there from an individual level, because it was something I always wanted to experience, something I always wanted to do. Came home, and come back a little bit. When I left, I had gotten my girlfriend pregnant. We got married right before I left. My oldest son, was actually born June 2008 while I was in Afghanistan. And so that was a really tough one because, I'd only been gone 3 months. Came home in November 2008, and he was already 6 months old. So that was a really tough transition for me coming back, because, I essentially was newlywed, very young couple, and came home, left married man, came home to a family, with a baby, practically walking at that point. And it was hard to come home to, because it was hard to turn off the switch of protecting myself. You know what I mean? Everything, yeah. You're on guard when you come home. I remember coming home on the ride home. It was about 3 a.m, and my family had a pickup truck, and I had to sit in the middle. I was a gunner, and I had to feel like I could see everything around me, because that was what I've been doing for the last 9 months. And, sleeping with somebody, having a baby, there's a lot of emotional mix there, because you're happy, you're excited, you're in love, you got your baby, you got your child right there, you got your family. And then having that feeling of being on guard all the time, it's kind of a sense of an overprotection, right? I became that, that angry pit bull that just like didn't want anything around. And if the moment I felt there was distress within my family, it was somebody else's fault, and I had to look for somebody to blame and take it out on. And that was a really tough thing to do, to turn off. And I think a lot of us have a hard time doing that. Fortunately, got the family at home, ended up back in, 29 Palms, did the whole workup. We took so many losses, 2-7 did, that when we did our mental health screening, our battalion actually didn't pass the screening. And so they ended up not deploying. We were set to go back to deployment to Afghanistan, and they ended up scrubbing that mission and sending everybody to get some help. And then also they put us on what's called a Marine Expeditionary Unit mission, which is we're just a force of readiness out in the middle of Pacific to Japan. And we just, we're there to help out for humanitarian services or whatever mission pop up in that area. That was in 2010. Found out my wife was pregnant. My wife at the time was pregnant with our second son right before I left. So, second deployment baby right there. And I was out there for a few months. It was really cool to, travel. And it was out there when I realized that everything I had asked for from the recruiter was coming to fruition. I asked to go to Afghanistan, and I got it. I wanted to travel the world. I got to go to Japan, Singapore, Okinawa, Philippines, Thailand, just kind of experience all those different cultures, and, train with Marines, which was really great. Because it's always fun being out there with your boys, just having fun, doing what you love to do, shoot guns, right, and shit up. Came back from that in July. Got approved for re-enlistment, which was really great. Ended up selecting to go recruiting duty. Was trying to come back to Los Angeles. Had an office that was willing to accept me. Had a request from the sergeant major, but the powers that be saw fit that I go to a different area. In the Marine Corps, you choose, they call them benefit tags, and there's these little tags that are different colors, and they have tangible and intangible things that you're looking for, right? So it could be like self-reliance, pride pride of belonging, financial responsibility, just a number of different things. And one of them is travel and adventure, and it's a yellow tag. When you become a recruiter, everybody jokes about the yellow tag because you don't get to choose where you go, right? And we tell this in MVP when we do our huddles. Just like in the sports, you don't always get to choose a team you get selected to, and you don't always choose the team you get sent to. And so powers that be saw fit that I go to Sacramento for recruiting duty, which I actually embraced wholeheartedly and really enjoyed because it was a new environment for my family. We went from being in the desert to living in a home right next to a river that ran from South Lake Tahoe all the way to the Sacramento River. Beautiful area right next to a wildlife preserve. There was a park, there were schools, and it was just a great time out there. Had a really great team, was welcomed with open arms. Got promoted to sergeant while I was there, and really got to do a lot of fun, amazing things, travel a lot there, and meet a lot of great people. While I was up there, my command, my CO, Colonel Lappy now, infantry guy from 5th Marines, he put me up for hometown hero recognition from the governor of California, which was pretty cool. So I got to go there and do that whole little celebratory thing, get honored by them, read my bio, and kind of let them know who I am and what I've done. Got a lot of positivity from that. It was a really good experience. Towards the end of my tour, I was trying to go to Camp Pendleton. A lot of people don't get this lucky, and I ended up getting orders to go to Hawaii. Most people, they get orders going somewhere they don't really want to be, and everybody was like, how'd you get so lucky? And I was like, I want to go to Hawaii. And they're like, well, why not? And I'm like, it doesn't, it'd be great. I had some guys that I had served with that were out there, and they were like, yeah, we're going to Japan. And I was like, well, I don't want to go to Japan. I've been there. It's expensive. I was like, I want to go back. I want to go back to Afghanistan. I joined as an infantry guy. I want to go back. I want to go do what I do best, which is, fight battles and win wars. Like, that's what we do. It's what I trained to do. And they weren't having it. I ended up kind of getting into a little bit of a tussle with my career planner. So after you spend 4 years in the Marine Corps, they start kind of laying out your career for you, that they see best fit for what you've done so far. And so he wanted to send me to Hawaii. I wanted to go to Camp Pendleton. He was giving me pushback. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just get out from the Marine Corps here. I'll deny orders and I'll just get out. And he was like, well, you can't do that. And I was like, okay, well, give me something in California. And he was like, okay. He was like, well, I'll give you first tanks or LAR. Well, there's a light armored reconnaissance unit in Camp Pendleton, but they kind of do most training cadre. So I'm okay. So thought about it. I was like, I'll go first tanks. He was like, okay, cool. So he sends me my orders. I click accept, and first tanks is in 29 Palms. So I was like, cool. So I tell him, hey, Top. He was like, yeah. And I was like, you should probably read your guys' record jacket book because you're sending me home. And he was like, excuse me? I was like, yeah, you're sending me home. I was like, 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines. And I hung up on him. Wasn't the smartest move to do. I'll tell you that right now.
You had to get the last word in. Hey, Sergio, just before you, and I don't want to interrupt, great flow, and I appreciate, you were talking though, like when you first got back after your Afghan deployment, and the being on guard stuff. So I'm just trying to get a feel for, like, and I know to some extent it maybe never leaves and all that, but by the time you got moved into recruiting at Sacramento, so that's like a year or so later, right? Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So how is that kind of on guard, and how is, like, give us a sense of that mental state that you were still carrying, and what kind of dealings were you, because the thing about the military, they tell you where to go, you have an assignment, you're going to do that, and you show up, there's structure and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, here you are, you're married, you got 2 kids, you go home at night, and then, to what extent were you still, kind of having to go back and forth between, still being an Afghan a little bit and some of those triggers that you had? How was all that going? And, what were you doing to try to take care of some of that stuff?
It was difficult. I came home from Okinawa, my second deployment, and helped my wife was just giving birth to my second son, Eli. And it was during that time, coming home from Afghanistan, doing the workup for Japan, it was very hard because even though we weren't going to battle, there was always that thought that sits in your head, and the frustrations of people not doing their job properly, the frustrations of, home life, trying to turn off being a Marine and go home and just be a father and a husband is a very difficult thing to do.
Right.
And not to jump ahead, but I used to tell people, especially those that were joining when I was on recruiting duty, like, marriage isn't probably the best time for you right now. There's really very little time, and you're not going to be able to hard to separate those emotions. And the frustration levels were really high. I was very short tempered, easily agitated, very on guard. I mean, I was on guard with everything. I didn't trust a single person. I mean, I could barely trust my own shadow at sometimes. A lot of night terrors, night tremors, or I still suffer from now. It's hard to sleep sometimes. But it's more so just because of just shutting off the emotional aspect of what we've seen over there, the different emotional roller coaster we go on. We can be having a great day, hanging out, just having fun in our tents, just, like a really long camping trip with your friends, to taking incoming fire and having to get suited up and go out and find the guys. And, you get frustrated, you get angry. You become very numb to the ability to control that that factor of your life, that mental and emotional portion of your brain that it's instantaneous. It's like as soon as somebody comes and crosses your way, you're just immediately your instinct is to go and attack. Right? It's a protective mechanism that we developed. And so coming home and trying to not have that reaction when little things would pop up, it was hard. It was hard to manage. And, I did some therapy. I did some therapy with my wife at the time. Some of it helped, not a lot of it. People were still kind of experiencing and learning from this as well. They weren't really sure how to approach what Marines were coming back and how the reactions we were experiencing from the battle. And it was really tough, but I found a way to find, and like every father would, to hear your kids come running to you, calling your name when you're coming to dad's home, right? Come running to you, their smile, their laughter. That became like a moment for me where it's like, as soon as I would hear my child laugh or call my name or even just say anything, it was like a trigger that was like, okay, calm down. Like, right. It's not that serious. Like whatever it was that I was going through, somebody cut you off, somebody, approaches you in an aggressive manner, somebody, says something to you. I was always quick to want to just be like, okay, well, come here, like talk some shit, like let's go. That's not going to bother me. I would I would tell people all the time, people would be like, I'm not afraid of you, and I'm like, oh, thank God, like that's going to make it so much better for me, because I want you to be afraid of me. You're going to run if you are. I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to come at me, like let's go. And it wasn't smart for me to have that behavior. that have that attitude. And it was really difficult to turn that off. As a matter of fact, to kind of roll into it, when I went on recruiting duty, again, I was small, 190 pounds, bald, lean, fit at the time. Not anymore, not as much anymore, at least. But I went on recruiting duty, and I would just stand there in my uniform, and I would just cross my arms and look at the kids in Mad Dog. And my recruiting instructor was a master sergeant. He came up to me and he was like, "Cuevas, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm waiting for the kids to come up and talk to me." He goes, "That's not how you do this." I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "I've got like 5 kids' numbers. They all said they want to join." He goes, "But none of them want to talk to you." And I said, "Well, why not?" He goes, "Because they said you look mean and scary." And I said, "Good." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Tom." I said, "Master Sergeant, look, if these guys can't handle walking up to me and just asking a question, how am I supposed to trust them with my brothers and sisters out there on the battlefield? They're going to see things way scarier than me when they get out there. They better learn to toughen up because life ain't easy." And he was like, "You're not an infantry Marine right now. You're a recruiter. Bring this in." And I was all like, "I'm going to try." And again, I was bald. And he was like, "We're going to have to work on your appearance." He goes, "We got to work on you." And I was
Soften
like,
you up a little bit.
yeah, I was like, no. And he was like, "No." He goes, "We're going to start, you're going to grow some hair out a little bit." He goes, "We got to work on your approach to people." And I was like, good luck. Because if they ain't got the freaking balls to come talk to me, I really don't give a fuck about them. Right. And, a few weeks went by and I started to kind of get a little more receptive. And again, bring that demeanor down, change that mindset to be more receptive to my surroundings.
Yeah.
More receptive to everybody else's, because I'm not really one to care really what people think about me, but more receptive to what their perceptions of me are.
Well,
And,
certainly in that situation, because you are recruiting, you know what I mean? And it's, what's interesting about that though, it's almost like, I mean, that might be in the end a real gift, because like when you're over in Afghan and you're doing those things, you're going into combat on a regular basis, you develop a demeanor or kind of a separate identity that allows you to shift your mind and personality into that combat zone kind of person. And then you're there for so long, but then when you come back, we don't ever train or teach people how to disengage that identity that you carry with you. And so it's still very pervasive, but you don't have all the dangers and risks that you had. And so then it starts to manifest itself in situations, particularly in your personal life. But for you then, what a great thing for you to have, was it a master sergeant or somebody say, "Dude, what are you doing? We're trying to invite these kids. We want to, build a relationship with them. We're trying to talk to them." And so at least it drove you to kind of a level of self-awareness about how you were projecting that energy and how you were coming across, which a lot of veterans, they don't have somebody tell them, maybe their wife or somebody or a parent, but that's not going to be as powerfully or maybe as well received as maybe this person, because they are a person of authority. You are trying to be successful in recruiting. And so kind of maybe it nudged you in a way that maybe you might not have otherwise felt it as quickly.
No, absolutely. And, you like you said, maybe we do have somebody that was telling us this, but because we're so clouded in our minds when it comes to our emotional imbalance and our what we have going on, all the things, memories, frustrations, doubts, guilt, resentment, whatever we got going on there. Oftentimes it's a mixture, a cocktail of all of them. You can have the best like somebody can be telling you all the things you need to hear, but if you heard that one thing that was negative towards you, that's all we focus on. Right. And it's like, okay, you just told me you love me and you care about me, but all I heard was I'm wrong. And fuck that, I'm not wrong. I'm right. I know I'm right. Right. We build up that wall, of defense, and that's what we live on. We live on that fence of defense, of we're always going to be protecting ourselves. And and you're absolutely right. In Afghanistan, when I got the call that my son was born, I really did feel like I had way more reason to come home. And, instead of turning it into this, fear of I can't do certain things because I'm going to get hurt, I took the different approach where, like you said, I created this persona where I'm going to be a fucking extra hard.
Right.
I'm going to fucking be extra, I'm going to be extra aggressive in my interactions. Now, it wasn't all the time, but when it was really needed, I was aggressive in my actions. Right. And there were times where people were like, hey, like, the dude's still laying down over there. Like, yeah, I told him not to pick his fucking head up until he didn't fucking hear our trucks no more. Like, don't look at us. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, because we would do, they're called snap VCPs, where we would stop vehicles. We'd get intel that money or weapons or somebody high profile would be coming through an area, and we'd stop and check them out, make sure they were good, see if they had it. And several times we've collected a ton of money and had them, had to detain the people and put them in the system and send them off to their jails, and because they were taking money to other terrorist cells, paying them for actions that they were doing. It, it was really that persona, that extra fucking bit of, toughness that I felt was keeping me safe.
Yeah.
And that I felt was going to get me home, and not just me home, but the guys, my brothers, to the left and right of me, because there can't be a weak link in the chain.
Right. You absolutely have to have it. I mean, you got to create that thing. It's just back in the States, it doesn't fit in quite as well. So it's a little bit tough unless you're kind of training. Well, let's jump up then. You were just telling me about getting reassigned to Palm 29 again.
Yeah.
So kind of tell us how that transition went and kind of where you were at on the spectrum of being on guard and being able to turn the switch off.
So went home to 29 Palms, got my orders, checked into my unit, and it was really mentally, it was refreshing because it was like I'm home. We checked into the base, checked in my family into the community services there with the YMCAs and the schools, and everybody remembered us. Everybody remembered me. Everybody remembered my kids. They remembered my wife at the time. And it was like a welcome home. I could walk around the base, and guys that I had served with that were in other units that were still serving there were like, holy shit, you're back. And it was just, it was really refreshing, because moving to Sacramento with no family support, not knowing a single person out there, was really difficult. It was really difficult. And it took about a year until we were able to find, family members that were distant from my wife's side at the time. And then another year, and some of my Marines that I had served with that had gotten out, had lived a couple hours away. They would come down and we would congregate and we'd have fun. But, it was really difficult. I was very protective while I was up there because we didn't know anybody. And I was overprotective with the wife at the time, where it was, I don't want you walking past this side because it's very dangerous there and I don't know anybody. Right. And it was like, try to stick over to this area because it's cooler, it's calmer. In fact, I know the police over here. Like, if there's anything goes wrong, I can always make a phone call and, have that support.
Right.
Back to 29 Palms, it's a base community, right? Know everybody there, know the families, they know my family. And so it was just, I could
took all the kind of normal societal, cultural, living in civilian entities. It took all that pressure away from the uncertainty, not knowing people, the security risk and all that kind of stuff, being on the base, because you're familiar, it's all military, it's secure. And so it made at least that transition part much easier.
It did. It made it a lot easier. And, Tank Battalion wasn't a deploying battalion. They didn't deploy, so I didn't have to worry about deployments, although that was something I was really wanting to do. I wanted to go back overseas. And, it was very, very active. There was a lot of training that would go on. At twice a year, we would go out in the field for about 3 weeks, once in the summer and once in the fall, in the wintertime. And then throughout that time, we would do our individual training, where we'd be out in the field for a week or two of just doing individual unit training and, refreshing our weapon systems and keeping up to par with our training requirements. And so it was very active. And while I was there, I ended up becoming kind of like a peer support, like I do here with MVP, where I was the point of contact for for service members that were having challenges, with mental health, MST, alcohol, drugs, family, domestic violence, whatever the case may be. I would, give them classes on what to look out for, what to, how to combat it, what resources are available, and I would help them do their services. And it was good to learn because it opened up my eyes to things I've been through, especially on the mental health side. But it was also probably one of my darker times in the military. Um, One of the kids I had put in the Marine Corps before I had left had lost his life in a accident. It wasn't even a combat related incident. He was stateside, got into an accident, Yuma, Arizona, and lost his life. So that was difficult because when you're a recruiter, you get close to family members, at times, and family members. Some kids, just like with me, not I won't say just like me, but in some cases, military is really the only way they can go because they have nothing else. And it was, one of those situations where that took place. And the guy wanted to be an infantry Marine, but he was having housing issues. So I was able to get him to leave early, but he had to change his job. And in doing so, the job that he ended up taking put him in a situation where he ended up losing his life stateside. And all the guys that I put in infantry came home. And so it started to have a fucking impact on me.
Right.
And then lost a really good friend of mine from recruiting duty. He was the guy that pinned me sergeant, first one to embrace me, first one to embrace my family on recruiting duty. We stayed in contact. He left recruiting before me, came home, went to Afghanistan. Me and him would communicate all the time in Afghanistan, trade, information. He like, hey, dude, is this common practice out here for them? And yeah, look out for that, or look out for this, or that's something you don't have to worry too much about. He came home. He was struggling. He was going through marital issues, and had a conversation. He was on my base training, getting ready to deploy again, and told him we'd meet up. He said he had some stuff going on. Told him I'd pick him up. He ended up leaving the base without telling me, and kind of went home on emergency leave. I talked to him that night and made arrangements for the next day, which was weekend, Saturday, to bring our families together. He didn't live too far. We were going to get together, have dinner, barbecues, just enjoy each other's company. And got a phone call about 3:00 the next morning. He took his life. And it really sucked because I was one of the last persons he talked to. And me and him had gotten very close because while I was on recruiting duty, 2-7, my first unit, we took a lot of losses, and kind of the genesis of where MVP was starting to come from, with Denver and Noel and Isaac is, we were losing a lot of our Marines. Right. And he was my support mechanism when I was on recruiting duty. Anytime I'd get a phone call, me and him he'd fucking grab me by the fucking shoulder and be like, let's go. And we'd take off and we'd go have a drink, we'd go have a meal. He'd let me vent. He'd let me it was my moment to be as vulnerable as I could because he was a combat veteran. He understood. And me and him made a pact. We were like, hey, look, like anything ever fucking goes wrong, like we're going to call each other. Like, we're not going to make this fucking mistake. Like, we both had kids. Our boys, our families were really close. And to have that happen was just another kick in the face for me. It was a kick in the gut. I just lost one of the kids I put in the Marine Corps. Just lost a good fucking friend of mine. We just made plans. And so I started reviewing back to the training that I had gone through to train other Marines and service members on things to look out for. And so suicide was a big one, obviously. I started going through the checklist. Okay, loss of friends, family issues, marital issues, check there, because my frustrations are coming home. She's got frustrations at home where neither one of us are communicating properly. We're both on guard, so it doesn't matter what we say. Like I said earlier, it doesn't matter what you say to each other. You can say all the great things, but it's that one negative thing that's going to cloud everything else out. And so, marital issues at home. And it was just, going down the checklist, and here I am, 32 check marks later, and I'm like, holy shit, like I need to fucking fix this.
Right.
I need to find something to do. And unfortunately, that's where my career in the Marine Corps started to change. I got out there. When I got out there about 3 weeks later, the career planner, the career monitor, ended up showing up to the base, and he wanted to meet with me. So they called me down to the office where he's at, and I never met this guy. Mind you, we've only communicated by phone and email. Picked me out of the freaking crowd of nothing but a sea of camouflage uniforms. Yelled my name, and all my friends who were in there were like, oh shit, you're in trouble. I was like, yeah. I kind of told him off and hung up on him. Walk up to his desk, and he's like, hey, nice to meet you. He goes, I took your advice. I read your fucking file. I was like, all right. So in order to go to 29 Palms, I didn't re-enlist. I extended. So I did a 2-year extension, and my goal was to have an opening either in 29 Palms or in Camp Pendleton for my rank and my job, because that's considered a boat space. And so I was hoping within that 2 years, a boat space would open up. I could re-enlist and go to a unit that I wanted to be a part of. And, he goes, I know what you did. He goes, and I know why you did it. He goes, and I'm going to tell you right now. He goes, you try to cheat the system. He goes, but the system always wins. I was like, all right, so what's the plan? He goes, well, what we're going to do is, he goes, you're going to re-enlist, or I'm going to adjust your RE code so you can't get a government job. He goes, you can get out honorably. He goes, but you won't be able to get a government job. And I was like, you can't do that. He goes, yeah, I can. He goes, click of this button right here. I said, what are my other options? He goes, you're going to re-enlist. You're going to go to all your leadership schools. He goes, and we're going to put you back in a victory unit. He goes, you'll get what you want, but you got to do it now. So I was like, okay, I guess we're going to do it. So I made the decision, re-enlist, which wasn't a bad decision. Something I wanted to do. But
and what year was this then?
This was 2014 going into 15. So this was towards the end of the 14-15.
Gotcha.
That was also the time my friend took his life, like right before he took his life. And then that was like right before the beginning of the end for my military career. Everything started to go sideways, losing my friends, family life started to go bad. And it finally got to a point where they were like, hey, look, like, we understand, if your wife, but, you guys have a lot of things going on, and it's going to ruin your career. So it's time for you to choose. Like, do you want your career, or do you want your family? So I took a few days, thought long and hard, talked to some friends, talked to some old first sergeants, command leaders, and made the decision I was going to choose my family over the career, which, was not a big deal for me. It was, but it wasn't at the same time. Unfortunately, 2016 comes around, and trying to repair my marital life, my marital status, and kind of get that going. And I thought it was 2016 rolls around. I get out February 2016. I'm on terminal leave. I had a few months, and ended up moving into her mom's house, trying to get myself established out here. Transition out of the military is hard, especially moving to a big city. Having trouble finding housing, having trouble finding a job. Trying to become a police officer, obviously that's a long process. Testing with multiple departments. And during that transition, losing my identity as a Marine, right? That was a very tough. Even though I willingly stepped away, it was still a hard decision to make. I was good at it. I was great at fucking being a Marine. I have a lot of accolades. I was being fast-tracked, promoted really fast. It was just something I just absolutely fucking adored doing. And during that time of transitioning out, ended up back into marital issues. Wife at the time ends up cheating on me, and that was pretty much the end of our relationship right there. Try to fix it. It just wasn't working. By this point, it was about 2017, late 2016, early 2017. Just got a house, was starting to go to school, trying to fit in, trying to create a system. Still having my hardships of, not having my resources and my friends and my team with me to, go out and do things with. And yeah, showed up one day home and wife was like, yeah, I want a divorce. And it was difficult because, I gave up a career that I loved to fix my family, and to do that and still lose your family was hard because I left the military because I didn't want to be a weekend father. Um, so now here I am, 2017, and I'm faced with the reality that I don't have my career anymore, and now I'm losing my family, and it sucked. Three boys. I had another son during recruiting duty, Sergio, and um, he was still a baby at the time. He was still like maybe 1 or 2, I think. Yeah, 2012. Yeah, he's about 3 years old. Um, and yeah, it was just I was lost. I was completely lost. Everything was a blur to me. My injuries, getting out of the Marine Corps. Um, I was having really severe headaches, so they put me on like 4 different medications, and that was also another that was another factor there. Like, you know, Flexerals for my back injuries, anti-seizure medications for my headaches, and my, suffering from my TBI, having cold sweats at nights, my night chills, just my night tremors. It was a lot, and that also made everything else blurry in my life. Like, I was numb to everything around me. Um, I was numb to my relationship, numb to my injuries, numb to just life as a whole. And um, now here I am, 2017, still suffering from these injuries, still suffering from transitional, stress. And now I'm dealing with the transition of losing my family. Went to court, did that whole thing, and ended up homeless. Judge kicked me out on the street. Her words verbatim: "Because of your military service, I feel you're more a threat and a danger to your family and the community." And she took my kids away from me. I lost. I had no visitations. I didn't see them for almost a year and a half. Fought for visitation. Um, it was a really bad spot. I ended up homeless again. She kicked me out of the house. Uh, wasn't working. I was only at school, and I had my disability pension, and I'm still currently giving up 68% of my income to include my disability pension to child support and spousal support. And so it's financial. Like, here I am, financially, emotionally, and mentally, just physically, just ruined, and it sucked so bad. Um, and then I get a phone call, and it was Denver Morris, and he's been watching me. He had tried to bring me out a couple times before, but again, I was so just clouded in my mind, I didn't even realize what I was doing half the time. Um, and he's like, "Hey, man, I need a ride." I'm like, "Ride to where?" He goes, "Ride to work." And I'm like, "All right, cool. Yeah, when?" He was like, "Yeah, tomorrow. Pick me up about this time." So, all right, cool. Day comes around, and I'm just laying there, and I'm like, "Man, fuck him. I'm not giving him a ride." I was like, I don't feel like doing shit. Like, I was done. I was done with everything. I felt there was no reason to fucking try. Like, my safety mechanisms, my defense mechanisms were just fried. Like, I couldn't do no more. I felt defeated. And I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? It's my fucking brother. It's my Marine brother. I can't leave him hanging. So I get on the phone. "Hey, bro, running late. Pick you up right now." It's like, "All right, cool. No worries." Go pick him up. And I arrived to Unbreakable. And yeah, meet AJ. Got to hang out in the back office with AJ and Denver, and we're just kind of hanging out. met Jay and Nate, met some of the other guys, and do some workouts and just kind of hung out with them for about a week. And I kept giving him a ride every week. And then finally I went to a session, and it was just, that was it. I never turned back. I've been a session, had to take a pause for work because I had to get back into work because, again, I had to pay money and I didn't have any. And, had to get myself back on my feet. And it was the emotional stress and pain of, it's so hard to describe because there was just so many different failure, guilt, ashamed, lonely, freaking extreme sadness, depressed as much as you could think of, because fear. I mean, there's so much fear because I didn't know where my kids were. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to be. I didn't know how to do it. And it was just a really hard transition. So the hard transition was, giving up something that I fucking loved so dearly for something that I loved so dearly, and then losing all of it. It fucking sucks. It sucks. And, coming to MVP really gave me the opportunity to get the frustration out, which was probably one of the first things I needed to do. I needed to have a safe and healthy way to get my frustration out, because frustration clouds the mind. When you're angry and you're frustrated, you can't think clearly. You're in a fog. And being able to punch a bag, yell if I need to, lift some heavy weights, just go through the whole regiment. It really opened my ability to stop and really dwell on where I was at, what I was going through, and where I needed to go and what I needed to do to get through it. And we tell people at MVP, we do the workout because we want to take that wall we put up, that protective wall we talked about earlier, right? When we're deployment, we put ourselves up on a wall. We come home, we stay on that wall because we're always about defense. It's our defense mechanism to protect ourselves and those around us. And we want to bring that wall down through our workout so that when you sit in the huddle, you're more receptive to the conversation and the emotions that you're going through, and you can understand them clearly. And then you can make sound decisions on what you need to do with your life and how you need to accomplish your goals and how you need to address the troubles that you're going through. And that's what did it for me. That's what helped me. Like, it absolutely did. I sat down in this huddle after this 45-minute rage fest, basically on the bags, and I sat there and I listened to everybody else's story, and I was like, that dude's like going exactly what I'm going through. He's just in a different phase of where I'm at. And connecting with them, and that really helped me out. Helped me out a lot. But the emotional toll, it's still one that affects you. I don't think anybody really gets over it. You just learn how to manage it and work through it. And yeah. Sorry, that was
okay.
I will get absolutely, especially with that transitional part. And when I tell people, being homeless twice is not easy. Homeless once, married with kids. We were living in a hotel at one point. What my ex-wife did was really unimaginable. It was really shocking to not just my family, but her family. And it ended us on the streets because I tried to stay by her side and give her, an opportunity to really try to make our relationship work. Yeah. But, the trust factor was an issue. And it just didn't work out. And so to be homeless and work your way out of it as a family, only to lose it all and end up homeless again, and have to really work your way out of it. Fortunately at the time, I had friends that were willing to help me out. I ended up getting a job, so I started working, and um, it was around the same time. Again, I was just coming into MVP. They nominated me for Hero of the Game for Dodgers. Huge Dodger fan. Families have been huge Dodger fans forever, and I didn't want it. I fucking absolutely did not want it. I actually told Denver, give it to somebody else. I'm not doing it. And he was like, it's too late, man. Your name's already in. You got to be there. And I'm like, no, I don't. I was like, I don't have to show up. And he goes, you're going to do that to me. And he goes, you're going to do that to me. You're going to do that to us. He goes, don't do that, man. He goes, just give it a try. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'll do it. Ended up being the first time I got to have my kids back. So that same weekend, was the first time I got my kids. So that was exciting. And I had just applied to an apartment, and the lady had turned me down because I was still on the lease for the house that my ex-wife was living in, because I had to move out of it, but I was still responsible for the bills.
Right.
Gotta love the California courts. And I ended up going to the Hero of the Game event, and got to have my kids, got to see some of the MVP members that were there in support. And I'm on the field. I'm doing the whole, they're doing my bio, waving to the fans, put my kids on the big screen. Come to find out, that next day I get a phone call from the movie manager who just denied me the property. And she was like, hey, were you at the Dodger Stadium? Well, yeah. She goes, were you the hero of the game? She goes, did you meet Justin Turner? I said, yeah. She goes, oh my gosh, I knew that was you. And like, what are you talking about? She goes, yeah. She was like, me and my family were at the game. She goes, and I said, I knew you. She goes, they didn't believe me. She goes, and I told them that you had just applied for an apartment. I said, okay, cool. She goes, well, you know what? She goes, I talked to the owner. We're going to give you the apartment. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah. And I was like, are you serious? She goes, yeah. And I said, that would be amazing. Because, I was sleeping in a hotel with my kids. I would, when I had my kids, I would get in a hotel. And then when I didn't have my kids, I was either couch surfing or I was staying with a female friend, because it was a home, it was food. And, she was amazing. She ended up sticking with me for a long time, even after. And, she really supported me a lot too through that, which was really amazing because you don't find that often. But, it was still like an emotional roller coaster. And then here I am now getting this apartment. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So tell MVP, and they're like, oh, man, you got to let them know what's going on. So I told the Dodgers, and they were like, whoa, that's crazy. We didn't even think that something like that would happen. So they ended up bringing us back, and got to do an interview with them again. And we're honored at the Fan Appreciation Day. And it was a unique experience, and it was something that sits with me a lot because A, I'm still in the apartment. B, they would tell us all the time at MVP when I was first going, when opportunities come your way, say yes to them. We're so used to saying no, say yes to them, because you never know where that opportunity is going to lead you. Right. And here I was, like, refusing to come to this event, like just adamant I would not go. And here I show up, and I end up with a home. And it was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm in. I believe this. Like, I need to really shift my mindset on being negative and not looking at opportunities that, are coming my way. Opportunities aren't always going to come, full, like, oh, hey, you're going to go do this. Like, sometimes it's going to come in a different form. And, it's been a very crazy roller coaster I have.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole bunch in there, and we don't have time to go all of it.
Sorry.
No, it's great. It's great. I'm so thankful for your story, and, just listening to it, I think it's just the perfect kind of microcosm of what so many different vets, that the specific facts are kind of different, in that, but it's what so many go through. And so I guess the couple things that I just was going to summarize that I thought were really core is just this notion of awareness and acceptance. That's the one thing about MVP. When you get into that situation or in that setting and you're with other people that have been through some of the same things, you do the workout and other people are sharing, it takes the fog away in a way that you can kind of see, you can evaluate your own self in a way. And then when you finally tell your own story, you can articulate it in a way that actually connects it. And by verbalizing it, I think there's a level of acceptance. Like, I am homeless. I just got divorced. I don't have custody of my kids, all that kind of stuff. And so, because, we try to package it in a way mentally to kind of protect ourselves, but we don't always see it really clearly. But until you're aware of it and then you can accept it, it's like you can't do much about it until you're kind of at that point. And acceptance doesn't mean like I want to stay this way. It just means here's my reality. This is really where I'm at and what I got to deal with. And then having the support and the resources of a group of people like that, somebody else has been through that stage. Like you said, it does have a cycle to it and it repeats and all that. But invariably, somebody at MVP has gone through something similar and can have some suggestions, just like Denver saying, dude, just go do this, just stop. So that I think is really important. And then the notion about saying yes, if we always think about life as a risk, as an attack, as a threat, and there are some of those out there, but the reality of that is most of them, they're not physical and they're not life, threatening. Yeah. And so when we are willing to say yes and get out of our comfort zone and get out of our own way sometimes, the more you do that, the more comfortable you get with it. And the more you say yes, the more relationships, connections you make, and the world gets to be a bigger, stronger place. Yeah. And you're more connected, and then it just feeds on it. It's like throwing another log on the fire, and the fire just burns brighter, it burns hotter. And the more people see you, more people, and then it just kind of grows. But the more we put a wall up around ourselves and we shut everything down because we're protecting it, it's like you literally suck the air out of it and your fire goes out. Yeah. And you're kind of stuck. So anyway, so great stories about all of those kind of things and just the ups and downs and all those kind of transitions and that. So, well, just to kind of honor your time and, we want to go super long. So I guess, no, don't, it's great. But I guess, what would you say to some folks, to some veterans maybe listening, just about some core nuggets about like, if they're in the midst of that struggle, kind of wherever on that spectrum, but I mean, still in that struggle. And I guess, I just want to say too, like, now you're the program coordinator at the LA Huddle at Unbreakable, connected, and now you're doing all that outreach that you did a little bit at your last station with Palms 29, but now, that's a lot about what you do and help with resources and do all that. So, making that shift in the mindset where you're kind of under attack. And when you said, I felt just completely lost emotionally, kind of spiritually, financially, I was at the bottom, relationship wise, all those kind of things. And yet out of the lostness, it's in some way, and with the help of MVP, you found yourself. Being lost, eventually you found a compass and you started taking steps in the right direction that helped you. So what kind of encouragement or nuggets might you share with some other folks out there who maybe are struggling with that sense of loss and don't have all the things they want and they're kind of not sure where to go?
Yeah, and I've said this before, and I take this from Jay, so I'll cite, our founder here. It's okay to not be okay.
That's the next thing on our outline. We were going to talk about that. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, it's okay to not be okay. And, you mentioned, we put that wall up. We have that wall up. And the more we get attacked as veterans and athletes, the more we feel attacked as individuals, the bigger and harder we want our wall to be. But we also got to remember that when we put that wall up, we're not just keeping the negative out, we're also keeping the positive out. Right. And you got to be open-minded to the opportunities and the support that's out there. Right. Not everything's going to be your cup of tea, but one day you're going to hit a flavor that's just going to be everything you need. And that's all it's going to take for you to really just be like, damn, this was great. I love the way this felt. And you're gonna become addicted to that feeling of feeling good. You're gonna become addicted to that feeling of, wanting to have those positives, and you're gonna be hungry for more of it. And that's what you need to be. Be hungry for the positive, and don't just focus on the negative. Because if you do, you're never gonna get the support and the positive outcomes you're looking for.
Yeah, it's like Baskin Robbins, right? The ice cream store. I don't know if anybody knows that anymore, but like I think there's still a few around. But that was big when I was a kid. But there's 31 flavors or whatever. But how do you know which ones you don't think you're going to like pistachio? But unless you try it, you don't really know. And so it's just like being willing to take a little bit of risk in a structured setting and try some things and put yourself out there, meet some new people, and have new experiences. So, and the MVP can certainly assist with that. And so, I guess there's that crisis stage where you're just in survival mode, and then once you can level off a little bit, trying to make those kind of connections and kind of work through those kind of pieces. So, yeah, it's okay not to be okay and living in the gray. And I think that's what we're trying to do is take away that stigma. I think it's the Lion. No, it's the Indianapolis Colts. They've got it's kind of end the stigma, the kind of piece. And they've got all these T-shirts, and the league, I think, is trying to do more and more of those kind of things. But just make it okay to say I'm not feeling okay, and that go talk to somebody and bring those issues up. And that's certainly one of the biggest things that MVP is really about, is trying to make it okay to call somebody and say, I feel like shit. It's a dark world right now, and I'm not sure what to do today. And so, okay, let's see. And then I just was going to, California governor's recognition and hometown hero. And I had all your military stuff too. We had that in here just a second. So I know you had a combat action ribbon, presidential United unit citation, naval unit citation, good conduct award, 5 certificates of accommodations, meritorious mast, and recruiting ribbons. Okay, so a bunch of that. Then you're sucking up to the governor in 2013, certificate of appreciation for veteran services 2017, and then Department of Children and Family Services Employee Recognition Award in 2018, and then the Dodgers. So anyway, so it's been it just, that's the nature of life and all those kind of things. So let's talk a little bit. Okay, so next steps. So now you got the apartment, that's going well. You're still working on, but your kids are back in your life at least.
Yeah, I get my kids now. I have an apartment. They have their own room. They're set up. Everybody's helping me out. Family's helping me out where they can. Friends or MVPs helping me out when they can. I'm working at this point now. I had to kind of take a step back from MVP because I was trying to go back to school, get a routine back together so that I can continue to grow and focus on me and healing myself. There was a question in there about, my future and where was that. My future was gray because my future was a plan with the wife and the kids and having a big house and yards and doing the coaching and the, coaching little leagues and all that. And it was gone. It was over. And I thought to myself, like, okay, I can't do that no more. There's no use in trying. Coming MVP helped me just kind of reset myself and say, you know what? I have a half a book that's empty and I get to rewrite it the way I want. And part of that is I still get to have that dream. It's just a different person that's going to be with me at some point, or it's going to be by myself, with my kids. Right. They have their own spot. And so, it's, sorry, I got lost there for a minute. Drew a blank.
Well, we're talking about it's okay not to be okay. And so kind of living in that gray spot and just the things that you've done to recover, I guess. Well, let me tag it this way. You were, because when you started talking a little bit about healing, even when we talk about that in these groups, sometimes people are kind of, whoa, I don't know about, they think the healing thing's going to be all, you know what I mean? Like, but yet at the same time, if we don't talk about our healing, because like, I think one of the things that MVP allows people to do is to talk about their reality, their experiences, contextualize it, and do it in a way that's, they can be vulnerable, but yet it's safe. Because if we don't go back to those wounds that we have, and the things that created that other identity, we talked about that, that protector, that warrior, that all that kind of stuff, you have to be able to help that part of yourself kind of set down, flip the switch and not be on guard all the time and learn a new way to relate to people. And I think that's part of that healing process is, hey, you know what, that was all okay where you were, and it's still okay. It's not anything to be ashamed of. It's just that we got to make some kind of transition here if we're going to be successful, and then helping people unpack that a little bit. So, and and that's one of the things that MVP does. Do you think there are other things that are really helpful for vets and or other folks? Like because when we talk about healing, storytelling seems to be really important, and then having community seems really important, and creating safe, kind of vulnerable spaces where people can kind of have those conversations and build relationships. So, but are there other things that have been really instrumental for you or that you've seen?
Yeah, the self-care. I'll be honest, I was never really one to like focus on meditating and people always told me, when you're angry, like just breathe. Like, okay, like I'm breathing, right? I'm talking to you. I gotta be able to breathe to talk. I never really understood it. And then
Yeah.
Doing your breath work. Doing your breath work has really it has really taken me to another level. Because get up in the morning and I will take that moment to just stop and just breathe through, like just kind of have a moment of calm and quiet and just me. And then I'll do some breathing to wake myself up, get up, do my morning routine, work out, come home, clean up, get some work done, start working. And, if things start to build up, if things start to get frustrating, tactical pause, you know what I mean? Timeout, right? Take a timeout, stop, take a moment, sip some water, breathe a little bit, shake it off, get back in the game, right? Get back on the grind, go back on the mission and complete the task at hand. And, sometimes it may just be, you got to put it on pause and set it to the side and come back to it later because what you have to deal with during the day is more important, maybe work, kids, whatever the case may be. But, 9 times out of 10, even if you take it and you put it to the side by the end of the day, you're probably not even going to remember what pissed you off, which is a good thing because that just means it wasn't worth it to you to begin with. Right. If you hold on to that baggage, you're just going to have a bad back. And most of us vets already have a bad back. So there's no use to carrying that baggage anymore.
Got to unpack the rucksack. There's no doubt. So,
Absolutely.
So as a daily practice, trying to do some intentional breathing and doing those kind of things. And that's what in the class we talked about the stop technique, STOP. So stop is literally stop and just be kind of aware of what's going on. T is take a breath. O is observe kind of internally and externally what's going on, that situational awareness and then the P is proceed with intention and consistent with the values, which takes us back to the beginning of our conversation when you're talking about some people that you've, respect and they've given you values and characteristics. So family, honesty, loyalty, those kind of things. And then you can, in the pause, make an intentional choice to make sure that you are showing up in the way that you want to show up in that situation. So it kind of gives you that piece. So, all right. So any other kind of daily practices that have been helpful for you on your journey?
Working out, getting back into working out. I used to be fit. I used to be fast. I used to run a lot and, injuries and just lack of taking care of myself really kind of got to the best of me and started getting sick, put on some additional weight. And, now I'm kind of getting back into it, getting back into the running, getting back into the fit life, eating healthy, just, that look good, feel good mentality. When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, your confidence levels up and it's a lot harder to let the small things get to you because, I'm not worried about shit today. I feel good.
Well, and I think people dismiss, and not everybody agrees on this, but we certainly do, is that, the health of your body and what you eat and getting the right amount of sleep, staying hydrated, just like for an athlete, it just creates, then it sets the stage for the mindset so you can perform in the way that you want to do. And I think people really discount that way. And when you let the exercise and fitness and your diet and all those things, if they are really on the downside, it really makes it hard to have the kind of mindset and mental attitude that you want to have and approach the day. So taking care of those things. So Sergio, I'm looking for a team to join me next March in a half triathlon. What do you think?
Where's this going to be at?
I'm thinking we're going to do one in California and one on the East Coast. So I'm going to try to do 2 in that month.
Oh, next March. I'll make a solid effort.
Well, why don't you think about it? So I've got a Yammer page I'm about ready to start, for kind of the half tri guys. And so that's a 25-mile bike. I think it's 1.5 swim and a 12.5 run. So,
well, I could tell you this. I have been really, there's a dam out where I live and it's called the Hanson Dam. It's about a 4-mile track. My dog sometimes, the last few weeks I took her running. She quit on me halfway through. He's just like, I'm not running no more because we've been
Too
doing
much.
too much.
No
Yeah,
mas. No
and I
mas.
wasn't running the whole time. I was kind of doing like a run, like a jog, walk, jog, just kind of getting myself back into it, And yeah, she was like, "Nah, you're crazy." So if I can knock out 4 miles a day for the next couple months, I'm pretty sure I can hit 12 miles at some point. So,
Well, you think about it, we'll reconvene. So you can chat with the LA group. So I'm going to try to recruit a few others. And I got a couple guys out of Chicago, MVP, that are going to participate. So we're going to kind of see how it goes. But anyway, that's kind of the goal. So that's what
you just said it right there. You said Chicago's getting in on it. That's competition. I'm a competition guy. I like to bring competition amongst chapters. I think it's a healthy level as long as it's some healthy stuff. And
so we should, and then we'll have to tap into Phoenix maybe a little bit. But anyway, just give it a thought. And I know, and I talked to Brandy about it. She's she works with Mark over in Atlanta when I was there for that show. So she's all down for it. So like, I think maybe if we can pull, that's why I was thinking maybe one kind of east, maybe Chicago-ish or whatever, between somewhere in there, and then one on the West Coast, but we'll see. But anyway, we'll put some more out there, but I'll talk to you some more about that. So, okay. So last thoughts as we kind of wrap up. So anyway, so thank you. I just say thank you, one, just for who you are, all the things that you're working on and doing. At the same time, your love and compassion for your comrades, and the way in which you're trying to make a difference in the world. So I'm grateful for that. So thank you, and for taking the time today. So in the midst of all this, so we talk about hidden pearls. Our podcast is about that. We believe everybody's got hidden pearls within them. So have you seen any other hidden pearls from other people or organizations that you want to that gives you hope? I guess that's what we're looking for. Something that might be inspirational or kind of drives you a little bit, and you say, wow, that's pretty cool. And again, maybe pushes us to do a little bit more in our own lives.
There's a lot.
Just one. You don't have to pick the top one. Just anything that kind of hits you.
And not because I'm biased to it, but Trinidad. Trinidad with Trinidad Jeans. He's been one of my junior Marines. I've known him a long time. He's really got his heart set on doing these adaptive jeans for veterans and athletes.
Right. Yeah.
He's really growing it. He's really getting a lot of support for it. And, it kind of goes to, like I said, that look good, feel good mindset. Right. You want to reinstill that confidence in yourself and confidence in others that make them confident in you. And, he's really doing a lot of great work with that. And I would definitely say that is a hidden pearl because not too many people know about his genes. Not too many people know about his push. And that is definitely one that I expect to see growing here a lot in the next few months, possibly a year.
Yeah, he's already texted me this week. He's coming by our hotel on Saturday because we're flying out for the Rams game. So he's going to bring the family by and we're going to catch a cup of coffee or something. But anyway, so for folks who don't know what that is, adaptive genes. So he'll design the gene. And so for folks who maybe need a prosthetic or they have other kind of alterations, he makes specific genes tailored to that unique individual. And so the one I really know about is that the person had a prosthetic, but they couldn't fit the jeans up over the top part that fit over the thigh and that kind of stuff in it. And so and they were always looking really ratty. So Trinidad adapted it. So they had a couple snaps and maybe a zipper, but it would cover everything. But then if he needed to do something, he could get them on and off without being such a big deal or tearing them and all that kind of stuff. And so then when they were on, though, they looked great. They were regular pair of jeans. And actually, Trinidad, his stuff is really high quality. He said he's bringing me the new design because he sent me some stuff before and I was apparently too fat for it because his 36 was a little bit light on my 36. But anyway,
so that with me too. He tells me I got to lose the weight. I'm like, man, he's like, I can't do those ones. He goes, just lose the weight. He goes, that's a goal. He goes, hang them on your wall. He goes, that'll be your goal. That's like that's like your bathing suit you got to fit in for the next.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm working to do that a little bit. He said these will fit fine though, so I trust him, but it's all good. So, okay. So, and then we already talked, your charity selection will be MVP. So we'll make our donation this week back to MVP and we'll do that in your name. So you'll get a notice of that. So we're super excited about that. So, all right. Any final words of inspiration or anything you want to, like I haven't asked you, or you want to make sure that we get across any final kind of words or thoughts?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. We're moving into the holiday season. We're moving into the Veterans Day coming up here pretty soon. This is definitely one of the hardest moments of the year for a lot of veterans, a lot of athletes. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And, you don't even have to ask for help. Just don't be afraid to reach out. Tell somebody hi, ask somebody what they're up to. Do something. Don't be alone, because that's when you become most vulnerable. And, there's plenty of us out here that would love to get together, hang out, and just, chat with you, or, create an event that we can get together, because you're worth it. You're worth it more than you know.
More than you know. So it's okay not to quite feel okay. And if you're not feeling okay, the reason we have a community is that you're not alone. And so we want people to reach out. So we will put the LA Huddle kind of stuff, any of the links and social media stuff that you want us to post, send that to us, and we'll add those in the notes to the show. All right. And so people can get a hold. So you can always go to the Emerging Vets and Players website. That's a great location. They've got some info on each of the different huddles. But if anything's going on, they've got contacts there for Susie and other resources as well. And everybody's got our links in that. So if anything's going on, you can sure hit us up, and then we'll add Sergio's stuff in there. So, all right, Serge, thank you so much. And it's LA's a short trip for us this weekend. So we're in and out Saturday and then go on Monday morning. We just got a lot going on. But next time in, we'll spend a little bit more time. We'll get back to a huddle then. So tell everybody hi for us, and we appreciate all that you're doing. And we thank you so much for, again, taking time to be with us today. So let me wrap this up in just a second. I'm going to hit the recorder. Wow. What did you think of that? I think that was a great show. And I was in on it. I know that. I was, having the conversations. But anyway, thought it was great. Really enjoyed the pieces with George on the mental health, having friends. It's okay not to be okay, and asking for help. And just some insights too on the mental prep and mindset stuff. So I thought that was all good. And Sergio, just what a powerful story, and just how hard it is, hard on families. Being in the military, being deployed, and the transitions and doing those kind of things. So really grateful to him for sharing that story and just helping us understand more about what our military folks go through each and every really day. And week and month as people come back from deployments, have to make transitions, and then leave the military as their careers are ending. So our heart goes out. And again, just let's open our hearts, open our minds, and see what we can do to kind of help others in the region that we're at. So let's do that and be there for them. And again, making it okay not to be okay, and asking for help. So again, as always, love it if you guys would give us a review. Give this the old 5 stars or 4, whatever you think is appropriate. Anyway, kick us some feedback. Our emails are all listed, and those kind of social media pieces, we're all there. Love to hear from you on that. And if you had any thoughts on our conversation with George about jerseys and opponents and all that kind of stuff, let us know. So with the Jalen Hurts thing in Philly. All right. So thank you very much. And we'll be coming at you next week as a bye week. We are releasing a show, so you'll see that. So it's a show that we did last summer with a group of vets up at a horse ranch in California as they were working with wild Mustangs in an equine healing workshop. So I think you'll find that really interesting and really exciting. So we're looking forward to that. So go Rams, go Rams. So go Niners. It's whoop Rams. All right. Okay. Take care. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you very much. Bye-bye.